like, you've made up your mind on whether the game is going to suck and now everything is hopium, or sorry, everything is copium, or you made your mind that the game is going to be great and everything is hopium. Like, it was just chill out. Try to assess
maybe
it.
Relax like that and kind of brush their eyebrow a little bit, maybe put their hand on their face like that and then move their hands as they talk. There's just so much little nuanced details that bring these characters to life, make them seem so lifelike. And a lot of the things that they do between the lines, the little animations that play, little ticks that characters have that feel different from other NPCs, all of that stuff.
To be fair, I am on the hopium train. Anyway, it's top of the hour every hour, which means there's time for a 6-second ad break. So I'm going to run that, and I'm going to run the video still because it's a very long one. Here it goes.
Culminates in some of the most immersive first-person perspective conversations and intense moments and scenes and sequences that I've experienced in any video game. And it makes for just a really cinematic first-person experience, and I genuinely believe that many scenes in this game would just straight up not be as effective or immersive in a third-person camera view with, you know, camera cuts and all that. You can look at your character in third person if you change camera perspectives when riding a vehicle like a car or a motorcycle. You can find mirrors around the world or in your apartment that you can look at to see your character in third person perspective. And there are very specific cutscenes that will play in third person. That's all I'll say about that. But for the most part, you're looking at a game that takes place pretty much almost entirely in first person and does a really good job with that perspective and really takes full advantage, as much advantage as possible, of that perspective. Not to mention that the graphics in this game are really impressive. The character models look really good, particularly under the right lighting conditions. The music in this game is seriously some of the best in the cyberpunk genre, used to great effect to establish just the right mood. Beyond the efforts that CD Projekt went to establish unique tracks for the game's radio, the background music, the original soundtrack that kicks in during combat, during key story beats, during tense moments, during quiet moments, during somber moments, it's all so incredibly well done. It's so very effective. And this is all elevated by the performances, which are spectacular across the board. And I know we've heard a lot of the sort of edgy attitude dialogue stuff in the trailers, but there are a lot of softer, more nuanced, quieter moments that are beautifully performed. So honestly, kudos to all of the actors across the board. And going back to graphics, I did play this game on ultra settings with ray tracing turned off because I found performance to be far less consistent with that on. And the game honestly looks about as good as what was shown in the marketing material and the gameplay presentations. It's really not far off at all from the gameplay that CD Projekt Red has put out there. And it pushes the boundaries of open world graphical fidelity, which I'll get to in a bit. And the game also does not hold back on the mature content, which I'm happy about. I feel like you really need that in the cyberpunk genre. The game is not afraid to delve into darker themes. Visually, there's just a lot of violence and a lot of bare flesh to be found, shall we say, but done in a way that I feel services.
God, that was the nerdiest. Like, he's like the comic book guy from The Simpsons, dude. Look at him.
A lot of bare flesh to be found, shall we say. But
a lot of bare flesh to be found, shall we say? There's a lot of boobies in this game. Ooh, the carnal pleasures of the flesh. Why, yes, I'll partake, milady. Anyway, it's funny.
But done in a way that I feel services the game's themes, narratives, the cyberpunk world, this setting, and the kind of dark future that this is. I mean, the character creator alone allows you to pick out options for breasts and genitals, and it's not censored at all. It's all there in full display as you're customizing those elements. But let's talk about the open world. My God, this open world. It is smaller than Witcher 3's.
Oh, come on, bro. Look at him. He literally had to take a breath, dude. No one sells something this hard if they don't truly like it. He literally's like, my God. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, come on. That's not hopium. That's like, this guy really likes the game, I think.
A surface area standpoint, from a volumetric standpoint, but it is significantly denser and more vertical. And if you ask me, this is, I think, the most detailed, most gorgeous, most handcrafted feeling open world I've ever seen in a video game. The aesthetic of it alone is intoxicating, but the scale of everything is what's especially impressive. It really does feel like you're inhabiting this cyberpunk metropolis. It's bustling, it feels lived in. There's so many details on every corner, and you look up and you see skyscrapers rising above you, overwhelming you, and all of these different sensory elements.
What do you mean too much hype? Bro, it's out. It's out. These guys have played it already. I'm hopefully, if they didn't, I don't know. I hope that I will also get the what do you call it? The game soon as well, to try it out at least.
From the soundscapes to the neon lights to just all of the different elements that makes up a cyberpunk world, it's all here. And interiors are equally detailed, going to clubs, going to rickety kind of shady apartment buildings or high-class fancy places within corporate buildings. All of that is so meticulously crafted. You can just really feel the amount of research that went into it, the amount of painstaking attention to detail that was applied. And when you're outside of the city looking at it from far away, it really looks gorgeous, especially at nighttime, where it really gives off that Blade Runner vibe. And then you zoom into Night City and you look at the unique attire that people wear on the streets, the vehicle designs, the unique semi-futuristic weapons, the different gangs and the different cultures that are evoked through them. It's all incredibly meticulous and passion-filled work. Not once did I feel that any one section of the world was generically thrown together. Every corner feels handcrafted with love and care on a level that is just rare to see in a video game. Whether it's day or night, whether you're walking on foot, zooming past with vehicles you've purchased or stolen, or whether you're in the air during some of the scripted aerial vehicle sequences, it all just looks so freaking incredible. And navigating the world feels really good, running around, vaulting over obstacles, and driving vehicles, all of that works perfectly fine. The one issue that I had was that with keyboard and mouse controls, I could not find the option to toggle walking. I was always running. With a controller, you can just kind of tilt the analog stick and define your speed of movement. With keyboard and mouse, though, there's usually a button to toggle that, and I could not find that toggle for the keyboard and mouse control. So I was always running around, and sometimes, when I was following a character during a quest, I'd have to move and stop because they were walking, but I was like running and stopping, and that was kind of strange. So I wish they...
Bro, was he just like fucking trying to RP or something? Dude, who cares? Okay, it's fine.
Would have added that.
Who cares, bro? I'll fucking run the whole time.
That aside, navigating through Night City felt like an...
Just play with the controller, brother.
Absolute pleasure. Looking at the map of this game, it can be overwhelming just how much there is to do at any given time. You kind of get flooded with a lot of side activities from the outset. After completing the intro portion of the game, people are going to be constantly calling you to hire you for new jobs, and as your reputation improves, as your street cred increases, you'll get more and more calls from different people who have been hearing about your endeavors, and before you know it, your quest log is gonna start to look quite full. This being Cyberpunk, it is of course a dangerous world, and the rule of the land is survival of the fittest, and that's where the game's combat mechanics come in. I was actually really surprised to find that the shooting mechanics in this game feel really fantastic. Cyberpunk has always been advertised as an RPG first, so I thought shooting would feel fine, would feel adequate, but it ended up feeling much better than I expected. All of the guns really pack a punch due to a combination of great sound.
Bro, this guy, is he like the only one that is saying this? I feel like I would not have expected someone to be like, the shooting is actually good. I feel like everyone just said like it's kind of boring. The last review said the combat was good. This guy's saying the combat is good. I just don't know why he would lie. Like, I can see why a video game writer at like, I can see why someone at fucking GameStop or not GameStop, like Game Informer or whatever would have a reason to shill a little bit, right? But I don't know why an independent YouTuber would do that too. Just play the fucking game and find out. Yeah, I will.
design combined with punchy visuals, the variety of weapons, and some of the insane designs like, I don't know, a shotgun with 8 barrels with bullets that track and stuff like that. I mean, that all contributes to weapons that are really interesting to obtain and explore. This being an RPG, I was also worried that enemies would be really bullet spongy, but after leveling up a few times, that was not the case at all. Once you start leveling up and concentrating on the things that you want to focus on for your playstyle, I was able to off enemies relatively quickly, especially as someone who played stealthily and, dealt headshots with a silent pistol. That was really satisfying, and there are bonuses that come with stealth attacks. So all of that contributed to me being able to essentially kill everyone with one shot to the head as long as I stayed hidden. Now, much like Witcher 3, if you see an enemy who has a skull sign over their head...
Wait. My metric for whether someone is a good reviewer or not is if they liked Fallout 76 before in their preview. Before Fallout 76 is that he liked it, but this guy keeps spamming that he hates Fallout 76 and EA shit. God damn it! Why? I'm done with you. It's over. For the first time in a long time, I'm shutting off chat for the rest of the stream.
That means they're much higher level than you, and those guys are more bullet spongy, and then their boss battles...
I'm sick and tired of it. Today, you've been fucking crazy. I don't know why. Like, every time there's something going on, you're like... I feel like you're purposely giving me conflicting information.
The game who have health bars, and you have to shoot them quite a bit before you kill them, but for the most part, you're fighting regular goons, and the game's really well balanced in terms of how many shots it takes to take them down. And another major aspect to combat is hacking, which is kind of the equivalent to magic in fantasy RPGs. You have a certain amount of RAM that generates over time, and RAM is the resource used to execute these hacks, and you can upgrade your RAM through cybernetic implants, through skill upgrades, you name it. You'll also be upgrading how fast that RAM recovers, how many programs or spells, if you will, you can equip at any given time. My character wasn't leaning too heavily on hacking, but I did use hacking frequently enough, especially one program that I favored, which offered the ability for me to essentially blind enemy cybernetic optics, which worked wonders for my stealth build. And then another useful hacking ability was called Ping, which essentially tagged all enemies connected to a particular network.
I don't think I'm going to do stealth melee because everyone keeps saying that stealth melee or melee sucks, so I'll probably not want to do that.
Which allowed me to gauge their position and their patrol patterns. But there are other types of hacks as well, like short circuit and synapse burnout, which deal damage to machines and humans respectively. There is one program that allowed me to wipe an enemy's memory so that they would drop their aggro. You can jam their weapons, disable their cyberware, among other things. And you can also quick hack environmental objects to distract enemies, take over cameras to get a better view, unlock certain doors, interact with certain elements that can damage nearby enemies, you name it. Now, there are some gripes that I do have with the game's combat system, a major one being the way they mapped dodging. We kind of do a sidestep or a dash by double tapping a direction. When playing with keyboard and mouse, and especially when playing stealthily, I often make these minor adjustments while I'm, crouching and sneaking, where I, tap, tap, tap like that, so the character kind of inches his way towards a destination. And sometimes when I did that, the game would register those taps as me wanting to dodge, and so there were a number of times where I revealed my location, where I revealed myself to enemies by accident because my character dodged instead of moving slowly as I intended. So I wish...
If I was annoying, if I was one of the annoying shooters in my community, I'd be like, ha, you're just bad. Mad cause bad, omega lol.
Way to change that. I haven't found a way to change that. I wish you could remap that differently. Another gripe that I had was that you cannot do certain simple things like removing a gun silencer without going to the game's cluttered inventory menu. Removing the silencer takes multiple steps, and the same thing goes for using certain consumable items. Items in this game cannot be mapped to the numbers button, which I find to be strange. 1, 2, and 3 are reserved for your primary, secondary, and tertiary weapons, but you cannot use 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. And map those to other elements. And inventory management in general, while functional, could feel like it could have been implemented in a more organized, more intuitive, and more accessible way. I eventually kind of got
It's fucking weird as hell.
used to it, but sometimes it can feel like doing simple actions can take more steps than they should. I also wasn't the biggest fan of the game's melee combat, as the melee impacts don't feel super impactful. It all feels kind of loose, like you're swinging air. I did find rushing enemies with my katana and slaying them in kind of samurai ninja fashion to be pretty fun, but when you engage in one-on-one melee combat, that's when melee is serviceable, like it works, but it doesn't feel particularly
God damn, bro. What is melee?
really good.
Okay, yeah,
And
melee sucks.
Isn't a playstyle that I would deeply favor as a result. Just melee felt nowhere near as good as gunplay in my opinion, which is a shame because melee is a big component of combat and progression. You could do a full-on melee build if you wanted to, but melee doesn't quite live up to how good shooting feels. Speaking of progression though, I really love what they did with the progression system of this game because there are just so many layers and there's always so much character progression happening. You're always getting stronger. The first layer is of course gear, of which you'll find plenty as you engage enemies in combat, as you complete quests. There's just so much loot in this game. Every enemy you drop basically drops something, whatever weapon they were holding, and other things like consumables, things that heal you and whatnot, Eurodollars, money, you name it. And each room you clear as well also just has a lot of stuff to loot on shelves, on boxes, and everything. Sometimes it can be too much to loot, though you eventually get to a point where you have such high level gear that you can ignore a lot of the loot. But all of that loot can be useful because you can disassemble the junk that you pick up or the weapons that you don't
Very important.
use, and you can convert those into crafting materials that will allow you to craft new items
For a goblin
by
like
obtaining
myself.
blueprints for those items, or upgrade your old gear so that you can make those, the ones that you prefer from, you know, when you were lower level, viable for high level stuff. But yeah, the game can feel like a looter shooter in many regards because of how much loot there is in this game. You will find different weapons and armor of varying rarities, and the higher the rarity, the more mod slots and additional features to those particular weapons and armor. And, you know, you'll find weapons that are of the same brand but maybe different rarities and the like. But this is, of course, excluding the shitty life service monetization elements that would ruin it or get in the way. So it's a lot of fun. Now, a layer on top of gear is the fact that some of the weapons and clothes that you obtain will have mod slots that will allow you to insert cybernetic chips that grant additional passive upgrades and adds an additional layer of customizability. And then for guns in particular, you can on top of that add attachments like scopes and silencers, though not much more than that. All I've seen are pretty much scopes and silencers. So that's gears and gear mods and gear attachments. Then you got the second layer, which is leveling up, which contributes to your attributes, your skills, and your perks. There are 5 attributes in this game, each of which house a number of skills, each of which house a ton of perks, so many perks, and leveling up will grant you an attribute point and a perk point to spend. And on top of all that, skills themselves level up individually as you partake in activities associated with that skill, kind of like Skyrim. When you use one-handed a lot, your one-handed levels up. In Cyberpunk, if you use a lot of pistols, your handguns level up. If you use a lot of blades, your blades will level up. If you do a lot of stealth kills, your stealth will gain XP and level up. You get the idea. And leveling up skills comes with its own benefits. You gain bonuses as your skill level goes up, whether it's extra perk points or just extra damage, extra bonuses. And all of this contributes to the fact that certain actions will involve skill checks. So for example, there are certain dialogue options that will only open up if your attributes are up a certain level. And then beyond dialogue, you've got things like how if you want to lockpick certain doors, you need a certain amount of technical ability attribute. And also to disable mines, technical ability comes into play. If you have a high level in the body attribute, you can rip certain doors open, or you can steal certain cars, so on and so forth. There are plenty of skill checks to go around. So we've got gear, we've got leveling up. The
reason why I love this is because it's yet it's another game where I can actually fucking skill charisma. I feel like I haven't played a game where I had to skill charisma in a long time, just so I could have better dialogue options. Like Vampire Bloodlines Masquerade, or like Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic,
The third layer is cyberware, which can be obtained via Ripper Docs, these black market surgeons essentially, and those grant additional bonuses and new abilities that you can essentially...
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of dig the not looking at chat thing. It is like actually making my experience a little bit better. I'm probably gonna do this more often. So congratulations to the chatters that made it so that I was so angry that I turned off the chat. I feel like my brain is empty now. There's like a space there now. I don't have to constantly sift through messages.
Slot in and out based on your playstyle and preferences, and cyberware comes with their own mod slots for even more passive upgrades and customizability. So there's just so much going on here, and compared to Witcher 3, Cyberpunk feels much more customizable when it comes to playstyle. You can go full, balls to the walls, Rambo mode. You can go stealthy, you can go hacking. And I'm curious to try more playstyles as I do additional playthroughs. I had the great satisfaction of developing a stealthy build for my first playthrough. I focused on silenced pistols for the stealth element, and it was just satisfying to build my character that way and see that progression through a combination of attributes, skills, perks, and cyberware dedicated to that build. I was popping off headshots and doing a ridiculous amount of crit damage, and it was just fantastic. So the progression system of this game, the leveling system, the gear, the rewards, all of that, I think CD Projekt Red absolutely nailed on the head. So you've got all of the right ingredients to make this one of the most memorable, one of the most incredible, jaw-dropping, just unforgettable.
Okay, does this guy have criticisms? I feel like this guy just loves the game. Like, do you want to marry the game? I want to know. I feel like he hasn't said a single negative thing so far about the game. In a game that's otherwise supposed to be very buggy right now, he basically glanced at it and said, "Oh, well, I got a midday patch or a midway to like first day patch." Let's see what he was about to say. Maybe he'll say it now.
Open world RPG experiences, and for a nerd of the cyberpunk genre, again, this is a dream come true in many regards. But then come the bugs, which brings down the game a couple notches. If the bugs were...
Okay, I didn't know that he was literally getting to the bugs and technically... Okay.
...weren't there, this would just be a masterful game. It is unfortunately unpolished
in
the state that I play the game in. And again, we'll see what happens with a full Day Zero patch instead of the partial one that reviewers were given. So the most annoying and consistent issue that I've encountered was weapons that floated in the air after I killed enemies or after I dropped a weapon. While all of that stuff didn't break the game, it was very much immersion breaking with it happening constantly. After a major firefight, for example, after I cleared a room full of enemies, the room would be littered with floating weapons, and even when I would loot those weapons, the weapon models would stay suspended in the air, so they were kind of there permanently. Now, what's interesting is that after the mid-review patch came out...
Oh, no. Look, did he just say floating weapons? I was putting the kitchen stuff away.
Permanently. Now,
why am I asking this question? I can't see chat. So if you're answering me currently, I can't see you. It's actually quite remarkable. Again, very liberating, very freeing experience.
What's interesting is that after the mid-review patch came out, I noticed that it made no difference for my Corpo save file, which was made before that patch, but then I started a new game as a street kid, and a couple hours in, I found no weapon floating issue, so it seems as though the fact that I made a new save after the patch released fixed the issue for that playthrough, for that save file. So it is entirely possible that if you start a new game after you've implemented the Day Zero patch, you won't encounter this issue at all.
Wait, but that's a bug in and of itself. That's terrible. Imagine getting all the way on like the Corpo pathway, all the way to the end, and then there's a game-breaking fucking bug. And then you download the patch. There's a new patch that comes out that fixes it. You download the patch and it's like, oh yeah, sorry. Now you have to restart an entirely new game for that patch to take effect. Fucking over. It's done.
On that, I encountered a number of first-person animation glitches where, drawing weapons would glitch from time to time, like the gun and hand animations would not align properly. The hand would come up and then the weapon would come up like that from my shoulder and then position itself on the hand. And then there would be times when I'm hacking and jacking in with the cable on my wrist where the hand and the cable would be misaligned and so the visuals didn't quite match up. And then jacking out sometimes, I would jack out and the weapon would float out of the blue onto my hands, and just a lot of visual
jacking out
elements that were distracting. I encountered plenty of issues with NPCs, a good amount of occasions where I found NPCs T-posing, spazzing out, walking back and forth, floating in the air, popping in and out. Sometimes their animations would bug out while walking, so they'd hover in the air in weird positions instead of, their usual walking animation. During quests, sometimes NPCs would teleport to their next position rather than walk to it as they would normally. AI sometimes would bug out where enemies will stay in cover and do nothing. That happened from time to time as well. A number of times I encountered an issue where if an NPC is interacting with an object, sometimes a duplicate of that object will suspend itself in the air. There are plenty of cases where I found duplicate NPCs in an interior environment, especially.
Okay, what the fuck, dude? We watched a 38-minute review, and on the 30th minute, he's like, this game is broken. Like, it is broken in an almost irreparable capacity. Oh, Jesus Christ, this is it's not good. It is definitely not good.
Actually, I'd find them a lot there, and
hopefully the patch fixes a lot of the stuff. I mean, I'm certain it will, but god damn, it's still a little scary.
Was very prominent and noticeable. They were standing right next to each other, not even apart at different ends of a room. They were next to each other, exact same copies of the same NPC model with the same hair color, same clothes, everything. V's character model also had some issues here and there, among them being that if I went to my apartment and looked at myself in the mirror, if I was wearing a hat, both the hat and my hair would disappear, and so I was staring at a bald version of myself instead of how I actually equipped my character. And then for the Street Kid new game that I started as a female V, and sometimes her upper body clothes will disappear and she'll just be fully naked when looking at a mirror. Or that sequence where Victor Vector pops the eyeball out to implant a new cyber eye, and you kind of get to see her character in third person for a brief moment there. In that scene, while my female V was on the operating table, for some reason, her upper body was just fully naked. Audio glitches are also pretty abundant. Sometimes dialogue would straight up just not.
Okay, I'm obviously kidding.
Not play, so there would be stretches of silence before the next dialogue plays, and I'd miss out on key important details for certain quests. Sometimes lips would not move as an NPC is talking, certain lines of dialogue where lips just remain sealed. Another audio issue was me getting phone calls in the middle of important dialogue that would lead to multiple dialogues happening at once. You'd hear V both talking on the phone and talking to the person next to him. Other times, I would walk away from an NPC mid-conversation and they would continue conversing with me, and V would continue conversing with them despite having moved very far away from them. And then certain sound effects would straight up be missing, so sometimes footsteps would be entirely muted for an extended period of time. There will be other times when the sound of glass.
Okay, I asked and he delivered, and I wish I never asked. I mean, seriously, I wish I had never asked. I wish I had asked for something else. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god, dude. What the fuck? He's like, did he just expect people to not fucking, I don't know, watch the entire thing? And he just left it to the end 6 minutes where he's just fucking, oh my god. Look, I've said this already, but I am a seasoned veteran who has played some of the most buggy games that have ever been made. Vampire Bloodlines Masquerade is the perfect example of a game that had such tremendous bugs that they were game breaking, they were game ending. You literally could not progress because of the bugs. Probably one of the buggiest games of all time. Morrowind, all the Bethesda games I'm a big fan of. So I don't care. I will play a buggy game if the story is compelling, and it feels like this is. So it is reminiscent of old school RPGs for me. So I'm excited still.
Breaking or shattering wouldn't play when I would break a window by shooting at it or by engaging with it via melee. Visual elements would not appear from time to time. So there's this one mission where I was in this AI-controlled cab, and
I literally keep refreshing my email, hoping that they send me a key. Like, I'm worried that they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he said that it's buggy. Sorry, it's over. You're not getting a key."
there is a screen where the face of the AI would show up, but there will be times when the face would be absent completely. On a larger scale, one time I was walking in Pacifica and there was this giant Ferris wheel that would occasionally disappear if I approached it from a certain angle. A few times, subtitles would just sort of stay on the screen that had already been spoken and would not go away. The inventory menu bugged out here and there. There'd be times when I want to compare stats of weapons, and instead of comparing to the weapon that I'm currently wielding, sometimes it would compare to a weapon that I was wielding previously instead. There'd be times when clicking on elements of the inventory menu would not work. So if I wanted to attach a silencer and wanted to see what silencers I had, sometimes clicking on the silencer tab would not work. I would have to like click on something else and then click on the silencers tab for that to show up, stuff like that. And then I encountered issues where looking at my stash where I store my weapons and gear, sometimes weapon stats would all show up as, 0 DPS, 0 damage, even though that wasn't representative of the weapon's actual stats. More severely, on multiple occasions, elements of a quest did not trigger, so that hampered my progression and forced me to reload to a previous checkpoint. And then...
Bro, I was just kidding, bro. I was just kidding. I didn't need to hear all of it. Oh... It's like a meme. It's like, I reap what I sow. Okay?
Equally severe was the numerous times where the game just full-on crashed for me, though the game's generous autosave system meant that I never lost too much progress, but it was still annoying when that happened. The game from
still time to cancel period. There's no fucking way. Okay? I'm seeing the I'm looking at the chat now. Okay, first of all, I need to say something. You guys are children. Okay? You've gotten worse. As I like turned off the chat. That's one. Two. I will still absolutely, without a fucking single shred of a doubt, very excitedly play this game. Like, it doesn't matter. I've been waiting for too long.
Technical standpoint, it feels
and chat is back to being off again.
Like death by 1,000 cuts. It was disruptive enough where I would recommend people to wait until CD Projekt Red releases a patch that people can confirm works a lot better, makes the game a whole lot more polished. Until then, I might recommend that you hold off so you have the best experience possible, because without the bugs and glitches, this is a mind-blowing experience. I also did encounter performance issues before the mid-review patch. Performance was just really bizarre. I have a 3080 on my PC with an i7 8700K, which is a 3-year-old CPU, but it was top of the line 3 years ago, and it's still pretty good and runs pretty much every other game that I've thrown at it. But before the mid-review patch, even with that 3080 and a pretty good CPU, even on low 1080p settings, the game would be able to dip below 60 FPS. But after the mid-review patch, things ran much more stably. More often than not, I was running at over 60 frames per second at 1440p resolution, and I could even turn on ray tracing, but there were also enough instabilities with ray tracing where I ultimately decided to play without it. With ray tracing on, certain areas in the game would have the frame rate dip into the 50s and 40s, so I turned it off and the game still looked gorgeous without ray tracing. However, even with the mid-review patch, there are still areas in the game that are very dense, and so my frame rate can occasionally dip into the 50s, And I don't know if that's just my CPU being an older architecture or if it's just optimization issues and they'll be able to.
Okay, this sucks. Oh no. No. Okay. I'm so fearful. Damn it. I should have gotten a new PC. Why did I let chat convince me not to get a new PC? Just kidding. No one in chat actually convinced me not to get a new PC. It was totally on my own. Oh no. I hope it's not going to be hard to stream this on the stream on the same computer. Maybe I'll just play it on the PlayStation 5. Who knows? I might do that. Haven't decided yet.
To sort things out so that even with my current setup, it'll run at above 60 frames per second without dipping below 60 FPS. It is also worth noting that review copies did implement a Denuvo DRM just for the review units, and I understand why. If a DRM-free version of the game were to get out, that'd be pretty bad. So I'm wondering if the Denuvo DRM is affecting my performance, given that the software has been known to do that. So there's some stuff that I'm waiting until the game officially launches and until Denuvo is unlocked and until the full day 0 patch.
Yeah, it's probably that. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah.
Is released before I fully gauge the performance. Now, one abnormality, one bug is that sometimes when I would load a file, the game would lock itself to low frames per second. So I would load a file and the frame rates would be in the 20s for some reason. And it would just stay there until I would restart the game. I don't know why that happened. It only happened to me like twice or 3 times, but, still annoying and bizarre and strange. And hopefully something that's ironed out with the full day 0 patch. But yeah, as far as technical issues go, that's everything that I found, everything that I jotted down in my notes. And these bugs happen consistently enough, disruptively enough, where I would say it definitely affects the experience. But even with all that, I cannot help but feel as though this was one of the most memorable gaming experiences I've ever had. I was just constantly blown away when everything was running well, at the detail, at the story, at what was going on screen, at the world, just every facet of the game. I've never played a game quite like this. This is the Cyberpunk game. There have been other games in the Cyberpunk genre, and I think that once they get the bugs sorted out, Cyberpunk 2077 is gonna surpass all of them by a mile. It's just, it is that good when things are running well. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is part 1 of my review. I hope to be able to show you more of my gameplay in part 2 and highlight what I mean with some of these issues, but also really spotlight the incredible achievement that is this game at the end of it all. So look forward to that. In the meantime, though, if you want to support the channel directly, we got Yong Yeah Cyberpunk shirts on my merch website, yongyeah.com. Every purchase goes a long way, and it's just a good time to...
My God, dude. Okay.
Wait.
Let's see. I don't know if I want to watch the rest of it. We already saw the IGN one. Mr. Matty Plays. Okay. Out of all of these reviews, I'm going to turn on chat for a second. Don't think that this is a common thing. I'm going to turn on chat for 1 second. Out of all these reviews, I want to hear which one you guys want to see. Just for the time being. Okay? Just ban the shitters? No, I turned the chat on the other monitor to monitor the activity. And if I banned the shitters, I would just have to turn off the stream, honestly, because you guys are all the shitters. Like, you were all fucking spamming like crazy. As a matter of fact, it feels like you guys started spamming more when I turned off the chat. So, it's just something I gotta manage. Maybe every now and then I gotta have like little breaks from chat. I've gotten a little too used to constantly reading chat and constantly talking, and I think you guys have too. I think you guys got a little bit. I'm trying. No, it's all good. Don't worry about it, Fizz. It's not your fault, guys. Come on. There's like 20,000 people in here. There's no way that you guys can deal with all that. It's just, I think no matter what happens, you got to, no more reviews might spoil. No, anyway, I want to hear from you guys on which one of these dudes is good and legit. before I turn the chat off again. Easy allies. Eric's, Dantix, Swanee Plays, Legacy Killa, Layman Gaming, Dantix, IGN. Maddie and Easy Allies? Okay. I don't know what any of these people are, by the way. Like, is that weird? But where's Easy Allies? Mr. Maddie Plays. Swanee Plays, Legacy Killer, Mad Queen, Layman, Dantix. There's no Easy Allies. Easy Ally? Did I read it and not see it? Am I not seeing it? Where the fuck did I read the Easy Allies? It's 42 minutes. I can't do that.
The other thing I kind of noticed when we're talking about the dialogue choices and things is not in every case, but...
That's not happening, brother. That's 45 minutes long. Are you crazy? I'm not doing that. Layman has kind of similar taste to you. Okay, let's do it. Layman.
Okay, it is the time that everyone's been waiting for. Cyberpunk 2077 has not been delayed anymore. I received a review code about 5 or 6 days ago, and apart from 2 days that I had to be away from my PC, that's all I've done. Played as much as I possibly could of Cyberpunk, experiencing the world, the story, everything. So when I sat down today, I'd have the best possible idea of what this game's all about. This game is like the game of the generation to a lot of people, or they're expecting it or hoping it is. The question is this game Cyberpunk 2077 or Cyberpunk 2076? Let's find out.
What does that even mean?
So before we start, okay, there is no spoilers, or I'm going to try my very best to not spoil anything in this game.
Oh, Fallout. Okay.
Apart from things that I absolutely need to talk about so you have an understanding of what to expect. Now, we are using B-roll today provided from CD Projekt Red. You won't see any of my own footage. Now, they're not allowing us to show our own footage until later, and the bugginess that I experience a little bit later. But for first, there we go, let's talk about what I did like about this game. Now, expectations are very high with this game. We all kind of know that. It's probably the most hyped game I've ever experienced. So when I jumped in, also my expectations were very high. When you jump into the world of Cyberpunk, it is one of the most realized, visually amazing, jaw-dropping experiences I've personally ever had in a game. From traveling around in the car and just experiencing the actual world and the nightlife of Night City, from sitting down in smoky rooms and having conversations with like amazing lit, almost like noir-esque lighting coming through, to nightclubs, to everything in between, to desert scenes, to car chases, to just chilling in the world and taking it all in. It is honestly one of the most immersive experiences I've ever had in a game. Graphically and atmospherically, I really feel like this is absolutely class leading. And it's not only the atmosphere it creates, it's the detail. From inside cars, to just walking around the streets, to talking to people and seeing what they're actually wearing, what the nightclub looks like, or what the city streets look like, going up to even small areas of the map and just looking down and just seeing the minute details they put into vending machines, particular types of shirts and jackets. And it's not only what the characters look like and what the characters are wearing, the skilled voice actors that bring these characters to life. It's just, you are completely sold on the idea that Night City is a real place and you're just visiting it, and somewhere in the world or somewhere in the future it does exist. So in terms of a visual experience and an atmospheric experience, it definitely for me lived up to the hype, which is pretty hard to do. And when you're
Cyberpunk is the first game I've actually stopped to read the user agreement. Even the dry legal stuff has a CDPR flair to it. All right, so this load of corpo talk on the left is actually pretty simple. It's kind of like a safety manual for a new piece of cyberware, like anyone reads those, right? So I'm here to make it real easy to understand. But remember, the long version over on the left, that stuff is legally binding. My version, well, I'm just here to help. It's kind of lame.
Driving around
But
Night
whatever.
City, or
It's cute. It's cute. It's cute.
going into nightclubs, or having
I mean,
conversations.
that's a Reddit moment. Like that is literally a epic Chungus Keanu Reddit moment. Like, oh, thank you for the gold, my good sir. That's what that is. Okay. Why? Thank you for the Reddit gold, my good sir. Is basically what that is.
Or in the middle of gunfights or car chases or explosions or whatever, I pretty much held a consistent 60 FPS on my 1080 Ti. So if you've got a 1080 Ti and you want to play on the higher settings, ultra without ray tracing, I didn't have much of a problem there. When it comes to weapon mechanics, now I played on controller and keyboard and mouse to try and play both of them to see how they both felt. I was pleasantly surprised to see how competent the actual weapons really were. Look, they're not like Destiny good in terms of the shooting and how it feels, but like, it's actually really close. The more I played the game, the more I felt like it was not only satisfying to be shooting those enemies with these different types of weapons that you find, that it was also really effective in terms of the enemies weren't overly bullet spongy. You know how some games come around and they just want to fill the room with a few enemies and keep you there for a while just so you can't move on, and that results in just having to just load them full of bullets and bullets. They didn't do this with that. It feels like a really nice balance between the actual weapons that you have and the actual enemies and how much they're going to take. And it kind of keeps the pacing of combat and using those weapons really, really awesome. Especially...
Okay, everyone's fucking reviews are the same. You see one, you see it all, dude. Okay, that's it. I assume this is what I wanted to look at, which is like the only review that I saw that gave it a 7. Source material, everything in there, sir. Blah, 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 blah. Welcome to the machine. It's all the same, I feel like. This game will be good enough to where my least favorite part is that I can't play with my friends, which ultimately is the best case for a single player for me. They get them wrong so often, I get dulled before I wish my friends were with me. Critical takes on what they did.
Yeah. All right. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They should have delayed this game even more.
Dicks.
And dicks.
Dicks.
Cyberpunk 2077 is a surprising... Oh, I have such mixed feelings on my time with the game.
Uh-oh.
I think the word that I've been using a lot is undercooked.
Yeah.
You know, I think this game, as much as there's a lot to talk about, we'll get to everything we can get to. I also don't want to spoil a lot of stuff. I don't really think you can spoil stuff. It's kind of got a lot going on where you're not gonna really have it ruined for you.
Well, there's stuff that there's stuff. It's funny because like the stuff I do like about the game is the stuff that happens basically in the transition from Act 1 to Act 2.
Right.
And the kind of the early bits of Act 2 where the story really does change quite a bit. Like all of Act 1 is like maybe like the longest prologue I've seen in a game in a long time. To where like on the other end of Act 1, you're like, oh, this is actually like significantly different now in a way that like is interesting in a way that maybe the game hadn't been up until that point.
Right. Like I saw the title screen, and I was like, am I done?
Yeah. Is this?
Did
I finish?
Did I finish the
game?
whole campaign?
No,
Is this
okay.
Yeah. But to go back to your point about the undercooked, maybe they should have delayed this a little more. I think open world jank is a thing that we are very used to in this type of game. There is a incredible amount of glitchiness going on in the version that we currently have on PC that
Yeah.
a few times I was kind of shocked a little bit.
Yes, and so since we've had the game, it's gotten one big patch. I know word went around that the game had been patched because I think people have leaked console.
So the dude on the right is Jeff, right? Or the dude on the left is Jeff. Wait, who is? They're both Jeff. Okay, yeah. Okay. They're both Jeff. Okay. Dude on the right is dude on the left is Jeff Bacalar, and the dude on the right is, or sorry, dude on the right is Jeff Bacalar. Dude on the left is Jeff Getzman. Do left, right. Gertzman is on the left. Okay, good. That's what I thought. Okay. Okay, so shouts out to dude on the left got fired from GameSpot for not giving a bad game a high score. Okay, well, shouts out to Bacalar, who put me in contact, I think, with some of the people at CD Projekt Red. I have not gotten the code. I just keep refreshing, hoping to maybe see it in my inbox. It'll come at some point, right? It'll be there at some point. Maybe spam. Oh, you know, let's do it. Lol. Someone sent me a mail. I was just looking at my spam, and someone sent me a mail from, you know how sometimes your passwords get owned? Like, they just leak. And it's like on websites. Google now has a great feature where it'll show you like what websites have your passwords like have been compromised. Anyway, someone sent like, and this is one of my oldest passwords that's been owned for a very long time. And he just sent me that, and he goes, I know da is one of your password on day of hack. Let's get directly to the point. Not one person has paid me to check about you. You do not know me, and you're probably thinking, why are you getting this email? In fact, I actually placed a malware on the adult vids, in parentheses, adult porn website, and you know what? You visited this site to experience fun, in parentheses, you know what I mean. When you were viewing videos, your browser started out operating as a RDP, having a keylogger which provided me with accessibility to your display and webcam. Immediately after that, my malware obtained every one of your contacts from your Messenger, Facebook, as well as email account. After that, I created a double screen video. First part shows the video you were viewing. You have a nice taste, OMG. And the second part displays the recording of your cam, and it's you. Best solution would be to pay me $4,593. I find this really funny because what a specific and weird number to ask for. We are going to refer to it as a donation. In this situation, I most certainly will, without delay, remove your video. And then he gives me a Bitcoin address. You could go on your life like this never happened, and you will not ever hear back from me again. You'll make the payment via Bitcoin. If you do not know this, search how to buy Bitcoin in Google. If you are planning on going to the law, surely this email cannot be traced back to me because it's hacked too. I have taken care of my actions. I am not looking to ask you for a lot. I simply want to be paid. If you do not receive the Bitcoin, I definitely will send out your video recording to all of your contacts, including friends and family, co-workers, and so on. Nevertheless, if I do get paid, I will destroy the recording immediately. If you need proof, reply yeah, then I will send out your video recording to your 8 friends. It's a non-negotiable offer, and thus, please don't waste mine, time, and yours by replying to this message. Uh, it's so funny. What if it's real and he speaks poor English? No, it's not real. It's funny because if you were like an older person, you would probably be like, "Oh my god, this is fucking terrifying." But I know that like it's pretty. You can very easily find out how some of your passwords has been owned or not, and so much so that like, LMAO, he doesn't know that everyone already knows what videos you fap to. Yeah, that's the other part of it's hilarious. Like I very openly talk about what I jerk off to, which is hilarious. Like it's a part of my content. So, I think that's additionally funny. Okay, but lastly, it's so obvious that like this person is like randomly finding emails and going through basically basically going through like one of those fucking hacked documents, or whenever a site gets owned and all those passwords are leaked, he's just going through every email point by point and fucking sending out with whatever the password is. It's just phishing. Well, it's not even phishing. I think it's just like, but yeah, see, normies think this shit is like real. Like if I was a like less degenerate, or if I wasn't on Twitch and I wasn't like more aware of this world, I would probably be, I could see myself getting scared of something like this, but I know, you know? Yeah, my fucking Chatterino, dude. Please just stop. I hate how Chatterino breaks so frequently. We know that you love those Midwestern mommies. Huh, spooked? Yeah. What do you mean your mom is fallen for it? Does that mean like your mom went and purchased fucking Bitcoin? Like your mom went and Googled fucking Bitcoin and purchased it? Like, is that what you're telling me? Or your mom got scared because she's actually jerked off to like weird porn? Anyway, the only reason why I was looking at my fucking junk is because I wanted to see if I got a CG Project Red email or something, but it's great. Oh, the person's name is John Jones. That's funny. That's another like hilarious thing, but my dad freaked out about it. My username translates as my name is Jeff, and no one ever notices Sag. This was my time. Mi chiamo Giuffredo. There you go. So the funniest part is, I'm just looking back there to see if my mom has headset on. The funniest part is, like, I've talked to you guys about this before. Like, if they had footage of me fapping, it would literally just be like from the chest up. It would literally just be like chest up and just me looking down like this as I'm like fapping. You know what I mean? Because like that's where the camera is like looking at my face, because it's like this. So it's not even like, they don't even have like pee-pee footage, you know what I mean? And if they had it, like whatever, but still. DSP happened to DSP was funny as fuck. So wait, did they like, so what happened there? Like he was just straight up jerking it and then like he got caught? Like what happened? Like he forgot to like turn off his he forgot to turn off his laptop or something? Like, or he took his shirt off to jerk off? What? He was streaming and forgot to turn off the camera? He went live by accident? Wait. Bro, you're a cyberpunk. Lol, get him, chat. Let's go. Wait. It's safe for work. You can look at his video. Wait, so did he get banned for it? Hassan, remember this? What is this?